All right, folks, we have an unbelievable show for you today. This is going to be about grit, determination, and overcoming all odds to be the best in your market. You're going to meet the queen of Odessa, Texas real estate, Mikki McDougal, coming up next right here on Cliff's Notes.
Real estate agents, are you struggling with the day-to-day grind, dialing for dollars, putting in hours of floor time with little to show for it? Are you looking for tips, tricks, and tactics to accelerate your career as an agent that will have you closing more homes, working with more clients, and earning more money than ever before? Hi, my name's Cliff Freeman, and I've spent the past 2 decades of my real estate career running one of the top brokerages in DFW and personally coaching over 1,000 high-performing real estate professionals across North America. I created this podcast to share the strategies and tactics you need to explode your real estate business. I guarantee it.
Whew, the guarantee is back on, and we're coming in hot from a week off in Orlando, and it was hot, especially that last couple of holes. You played the front 9 after we played the back 9, but shareholders was hot this year, wasn't it?
That was a fantastic conference.
It was really amazing.
Yeah. It was one for the books, definitely.
A lot of gold, and we just marked it with crossing 88,000 agents at EXP. Can you believe that?
What an achievement.
Man, you know, when we started at 2,500 agents.
It's incredible.
I mean, I never really honestly could. I mean, I knew it someday we'd hit, 80,000 or 88,000, but I didn't know it was going to be in 6 years.
Yeah, no, and I remember that first meeting that I had gone to you with in Florida.
Yeah.
And Gene Frederick said, look around the room. This room will never be this size ever again.
Never be this small,
This small, yeah. And he was right. I mean, every conference that we've been to since then has just been, 3,000-4,000 plus agents, and it's just been incredible.
Yeah. And we're about to meet one of our superstar agents who really is the dominant agent in the West Texas area out there, Midland, Odessa. And I had the pleasure to meet her at a Sprint event in Denver, and we got to know each other. And she's got such a compelling story. I just felt like we had to get her on the show and ask her to share it. So let's bring her on without further ado. There's Mikki McDougal, all the way in Odessa, Texas. Mikki, how are you today?
I'm fabulous. How are you guys doing?
We're bumping up against fantastic, right? Yeah, that's pretty much it for sure. Yeah. No, we're doing great here. A little road weary. We've had some guests in from out of town and working on some lending opportunities on the commercial side, but we are back in the saddle today and super fired up to talk with you. I know you and I keep crossing paths, and it's great to be able to spend time with you, and I always get inspired when I get around Mikki. She's just that kind of glowing personality, and she just exudes success,
Yeah. No, she's got
amazing.
That aura about her.
Yeah.
That's very unique.
So,
Yes.
Mikki, let's, just for the benefit of the audience here who may not know you quite as well as we do, let's talk a little bit about your journey, your foray into real estate, and how did you wind up getting into this crazy business?
It started 23 years ago, and I initially started in the leasing industry with apartments. And from there, I grew to new construction, which was in Amarillo, Texas, and I really enjoyed that. That was my real exposure to contracts and families moving in and out of homes. But while I was in new construction, I realized how limited I was. I could not sell the homes of people coming in, and if that particular person couldn't purchase a home, then they were out the door and there was nothing I could do about it. So in 2008, I actually got my real estate license. And in 2013, I got my Texas broker license. So I've been around the industry for a long time. I was only 4 years old when I got in. And but there's a story behind that. I always thought that real estate would get me out of a dark situation that I was in for more than 10 years. And that's some of the story that I've shared with you previously, Cliff. I was in an abusive relationship for 10 years. It was physically abusive, sexually abusive, and emotionally abusive. And I knew that real estate would give me the funds that I needed to save myself and my children. So that's what I did.
Yeah, I remember you sharing that story in Denver, and at that time, that was a very personal, private part of your life. You really weren't, talking about, especially on stage or in a venue like this. But I think it was in a recent event where you spoke and you actually just shared your story for people, not selfishly but selflessly, to help other people and in your situation, which it's kind of an underground thing. You don't hear a lot about people who are abused and in desperate situations like that for a lot of reasons, Mikki. And so what are some of the things that you hope to accomplish by sharing your story?
I want to share my story in order to help other people, both women and men alike, who are in any type of abusive situation. For me, it was dirty. It was embarrassing. Something I was very ashamed of. I, went to work with heavy makeup and long sleeves and turtlenecks when it wasn't cold. And looking back, I'm sure a lot of people did know, and yet it was something I was not willing to share. I wanted help, but I was afraid to ask for help because that typically would create more problems for me if I got anybody else involved, which is why it took 10 years to finally break free. But I want to share my story in order to help others. And the reason why I began to share my story, because it was always such a dirty little secret, was because I encountered a client who was going through a similar situation. And all of a sudden, selling the house was not the important thing that we were working with. It was a matter of saving her life. And when I shared my story, she realized that she was not alone and that there were other people who are also going through this situation.
Wow. Well, I know it's tough, and you actually looked to real estate to help you break free. What was it about real estate that you thought was going to be able to give you that opportunity to put space between you and this mess?
So for me, my ex-mother-in-law at the time was a real estate broker. And in my eyes, she had money. She was always saving us from the dysfunction that we were in. Rather, it was helping pay an electric bill or paying for the kids' daycare. So to me, she had money, and I knew if I had money, then I could break free. I wish I had known then what I know now, and it doesn't take a dollar to leave a situation like that. But in my own eyes, in my heart, I felt like if I had the money, then I could support myself and my children.
Did you find where did you find your community, or where did you find that the help that you really needed to deal with this?
To be honest, it was a very lonely journey. I didn't talk about it. I did not look for the community to help me. I hid from it instead. And, in early, after getting my license, I worked for a different brokerage, and I can remember them saying, "Don't you watch the news?" And I said, "No, is it going to storm? Like, what am I missing?" And I had no idea we were amongst a market crash.
Right.
Oh, wow.
In 2008.
Yeah, that's right. Well, things like that, I mean, you've been on a roller coaster your whole life. So the bumps, the typical bumps and bruises that knock people off course probably are nothing more than, you just roll your window up and keep driving, right? So
Right.
what did how has this, you told us earlier, this is your best year in 23 years, which, by the way, congratulations. That's a huge accomplishment, especially given, it seems like now you're putting some closing to this chapter in your life that had, been a ball and chain for you for so long. And now you're out. In fact, you've sort of rededicated your purpose. You're obviously great at real estate sales, but you have a website now and you coach agents. Tell us a little bit about how you're taking charge of an effort to help reach people who were in your situation, and what are the things that you're doing to help them?
So I am coaching different clients and helping them realize the leverage and the tools that they need to really not kill themselves in real estate. This can be a 24-hour, 7-day job, and I did that for a really long time. I had my own personal mission for success. I worked as hard as I did so I could provide for my children. I worked as hard as I did to get out of that situation. And as my children grew up and I was removed from the situation, which it's been over 14 years now, I've realized that I have a different purpose and a different motivation. My kids are grown, they're successful, they're independent, and I'm an empty nester with my husband now. And so my purpose is there's a different drive. And I have found myself over the last couple of years in a restful healing situation, which means I'm no longer in the fight or flight part of my journey and allowing my mind and my body to rest. And coming out of that, I'm learning a new purpose because the drive to be number one, because I was always told I was worthless, the drive to make the money because I was told I could never do it without him, that drive is no longer there. And so my new purpose is to find and help people who, again, we're in that type of situation. But the second phase of all of that, being out of it for 14 years now, is that you can absolutely lose yourself and lose your family in real estate. If you're working 24 hours a day and you're playing firefighter, your kids are going to know. Nobody else knows how late you worked or how hard you worked, but your children will when they're grown up. They'll remember, but you weren't there.
Yeah.
They'll remember you didn't help with the homework, and your spouse is going to remember that date night wasn't important.
Right.
So my focus right now is on those agents who have been highly successful, who have been driven, and who are burning out. I offer with my coaching clients the leverage and the tools to continue to be successful, but not only in your real estate career, in your personal life, in your personal health, and in your family and your relationships.
So when you were getting pushed deeper and deeper into your hole, you didn't have the benefit of a coach. You didn't have the benefit of a mentor. What was your rock at the bottom?
It was always my kids. You know, I had to go to the next showing. I had to do the next open house. I was married to my abuser for 10 years, but I was single. I was raising the children by myself. I was maintaining the home and the finances by myself. And I had to learn how to incorporate the things that I wanted with my children and with my career. And so we did things like they had little T-shirts that said "Agents in Training," and they were at the open house because I couldn't afford a daycare. I didn't have a babysitter. We lived 5 hours away from any family on purpose because I didn't want anybody to know the situation that we were in. So I had little agents in training. And I can remember showing houses and I had 3 children at the time, trying to get all 3 kids out of the car to show a house. And I can remember some clients saying, "Oh, is today not a good day?" And, looking at the kids, and I would say, "Oh, they'll be here tomorrow too. It's fine." So it was the kids. They were my rock. I knew that it was up to me to not only keep them alive, to keep them healthy and to make sure that they were happy.
Yeah. Wow, that's so hard. I mean, the single parent thing just hits home to so many people.
It's a big burden to carry.
It is, and especially in real estate. A lot of times we get into this business because of the time flexibility, but the challenge is that we really work retail hours. We have to work when our clients are available, which is evenings and weekends, and that's when your kids need you the most. So that
Right.
is that's really tough. Was there a point in this whole journey where you just didn't think you were going to make it?
There's been several times. I mean, burnout is real. I remember multiple times thinking, "That's it. This is my last deal, and I'm going to go work for Walmart." And there went that freedom and flexibility and, the finances. So I just kept going. And the thing about the three F's, the freedom, the finances, and the flexibility is if you don't get up and do things, if you don't maintain your schedule, you're not going to have any freedom. You're going to jump every time somebody wants to see a house. You're not going to have any flexibility, and you're definitely not going to have any finances. So it's important to leverage yourself, and not only in the business, but again, your personal life. So it's important to take care of you first.
So let's talk about your coaching program for a minute. What's the basic framework? You mentioned the three F's, and obviously time management is huge for real estate agents. What are some of the other things that make up your coaching program?
So the clients that I coach, they already know how to sell a house. They know how to write a contract. These are the agents who are on burnout, or the agents who want to double their production and don't have any more hours to give. So we're not learning how to sell a house. Rather, we're looking at the big picture. We look at their calendar together. We look at their finances together. Where is their time being spent and where is their money being spent? A good chunk of the time, we can secure 25% of what they want just by doing those two things.
You actually try to help agents look at their business as a business rather than as a job. Would that be accurate? Yeah.
Absolutely. So we're looking at their P&Ls or their profit and loss reports. And unfortunately, a lot of times when I ask an agent to send that to me, they say, what are you talking about?
Right.
What is that?
Hey, I still got checks in my checkbook. I must have money in the bank, right?
Right.
Isn't that what it is?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So is there you've coached a number of agents. Is there a common theme? What are the three most common things that you see, mistakes you see agents making?
The biggest one is offering up their services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't.
I can remember.
Yeah. Go ahead. I have nightmares about this. Go ahead. Sorry.
I can remember showing houses on Christmas morning. We're picking the kids up from school and had already promised them ice cream, but then it was after the showing. And then there was 3 more. And then by the time we got home, it was after, too late for dinner and definitely too late for ice cream. So teaching your clients how to treat you is very important. I do not work weekends. I do not work evenings with my clients. And this is a expectation and a standard that we set up early in our relationship.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Did everybody in the audience hear that? Okay.
Setting the expectation.
That's what we call on Cliff's Notes a
writer downer.
That's a writer downer. Mikki does not work weekends
or
evenings with her clients. And you had your best year ever last year, right? Best year ever.
2023 is actually projected to be my best year. I've sold more in 2023 than I did in all of 2022.
Wow, already. We're not even halfway through
it, yeah.
the year.
Yeah.
Right. That's amazing.
What is June 1st? But
well, the end of June would be halfway through. Yeah, so we have another 30 days. Wow. That is incredible. So learning how to manage your clients so they don't manage you is the way I like to think of that, because they will. They'll make you work their schedule if you don't set up some structure. What other mistakes do they make? Do they make mistakes? How about follow-up and lead gen? Do you teach agents anything on conversion and how to improve that?
Yes, I do. So with follow-up, again, the agents that I'm coaching already have an established business. They're closing anywhere between 15 and 20 units a year already. So with our follow-up, that is centered around our previous clients, because I think the statistics with the National Association of Realtors, and I may have this off a little bit, but most people would use their previous realtor, but they don't because they can't remember who it was. Right. So that's the follow-up we work on. Who are they? Who are your clients? What are their dreams? What are their goals? How is their family? You've got to follow up, and that's something that we do on a quarterly basis.
Wow, that's such an important part of the business.
The fortune is in the follow-up.
The fortune's in the follow-up.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. Is there a third thing that you can think of off the top of your head that is consistently one of those things that agents just have not mastered yet?
Yes, and that's putting themselves on the calendar, making it a non-negotiable. It's an appointment with yourself, and you don't remove it.
Okay.
What does that include? Is it mindset work? Is it?
Yeah. What do you do during that time? How do you tell them to spend their time when they have it marked out?
So we discuss that. Each client will have that conversation with independently. Some people work out or wish they could work out, and we talk about why that might be important to them. So that goes on the calendar. For other agents, it could be journaling or meditation. I've got some clients who their personal time is soaking in a hot bath. That is their appointment with them.
Interesting. So, as far as like the coaching style, is it more individual based? Do you have any group setting coaching type environment?
As of right now, it is individual. However, we are working on some group projects.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, we've tried group coaching a lot, and it's just kind of hard to keep you're only as strong as the weakest link in that group, right? The chain is as strong as the weakest link, and then when you have somebody that's pulling it down, people lose interest and that sort of thing. So you really have to be, conscious when you're doing group coaching. One-to-one, I think it's the hardest because it's really swapping, time here. But at the end of the day, I think it's also the most effective. So that's really great. So where do you see this going, Mikki? How big do you want to grow this? And if I asked you if you could wave a magic wand, where would you like to be in 3 or 4 or 5 years?
I would like to be retired. My husband and I have a goal to be retired before I'm 52 years old, and I'm 46 and a half right now. So we've got some goals. We want to be in East Texas. With EXP, I have been able to really conquer some of our goals. Our home is paid off, and we have investment properties. So as much as I love working with buyers and sellers, I'm in the process of referring my clients to my EXP organization.
Oh, that's great.
So that's where I'd like to see myself, is just coaching and helping other agents to be the best version of themselves.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us a little bit about the role that EXP has played in this moving you closer to your goals.
It's been exponential. The company that I was with before also had a cap, and I repeatedly would reach that cap. And when the EXP model was introduced to me, really the only thing that I was interested in was the fact that I could cap and icon and get my money back. And with the cap of $16,000 and with the icon model, each year that I reach icon, it only costs me $5,000 a year to be an EXP agent.
And
with my organization.
How is that possible? Explain how that works.
So with the icon program, I actually receive my $16,000 cap back each year. And the only out-of-pocket expense at that point is $5,000.
And that's for the transaction fees. That's per deal that you pay $250 per deal, right? Okay.
Correct.
Roughly about how many deals is that?
Yeah, how many deals do you need to do to icon?
In my market, it takes about 34 units.
34. Okay. Well, that's no slouch.
No, not at all.
That's by yourself.
Yeah, it's solo.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how many units have you closed? So what are you projecting to close this year?
So this year I'm projected to close 36.
Okay.
However, that's where I want it to be. I closed 72 last year, and I don't want to be that busy.
Wow. You closed 72 deals alone last year?
I have a transaction coordinator, and I also have a social media manager.
Okay. Is your TC licensed?
She is, yes.
Okay. So she can help you with repair amendments and things like that, and do a little more than an unlicensed TC. Okay. But still,
Right.
No showing agents, no buyer agents, none of that.
Correct.
No. And how are you lead generating to get all that business, Mikki?
It's completely my sphere of influence. It's repeat clients and referrals from agents and previous clients.
Well,
I
you
do
must
not.
do a great job.
That's incredible.
So you don't have any outside spend for
Man,
outside leads then.
No, I don't. I did not. I am currently do have Realty.com, and I'm giving those leads to my organization.
Wow, that's very generous. And why do you do that?
I want to help them. If they're happy, I'm happy. If they're making money, I'm making money. And it's just a matter of sharing the wealth and sharing the success.
And so how does the EXP model help that make sense?
So my organization has 60 agents in it. And when those 60 agents have closings, the company shares the revenue with me. Out of each agent's $16,000 cap, 8,000 of that goes to the rev share organization above that person, and then the other 8,000 stays with the company, which is how we're a sustainable model. And so when my downline or my organization has those closings, I'm receiving revenue share. In 2022, I made 76,000 in my rev share organization.
Wow.
That's incredible.
That's we call that mailbox money.
Yeah.
Right? Because you really, I mean, obviously you're generous with leads, giving them leads now, but you really you weren't part of any of those transactions, right? You didn't have to earn a referral fee to get that. You didn't have to be part of the deal. That's just what happened after closing. You got a check for revenue share.
Correct.
That's amazing. So what happens? What do most agents do, like if they get sick? I mean, right now you've got built-in protection, $5-6 grand a month, or more coming in to pay your necessities if God, forbid if something were to happen. But I mean, what do other agents do? Do you coach agents outside of EXP, or do you primarily focus on coaching your group?
I also have outside brokerages that I coach, and then I also have loan officers.
Okay. Do any of those other people have a source of passive outside income should something happen and they can't work?
Not to my knowledge, no, not
Not
unless
to
it's
your
Mary Kay Cosmetics.
Wow. Then you also mentioned that your house is paid off. What about, do you own any EXP stock at all?
I do. And I'm just about to hit my 4th icon status. So with that money, my husband and I have bought our 3 investment properties, and I'm also involved in the agent equity program.
Okay, so how many different ways do you get stock then?
I receive it through my agent equity, which is I allow 5% of each of my commissions to purchase the stock at a 10% discount. So I already have a 10% return on my investment. I'm not going to get that in a savings account or a CD or a money market right now.
Right.
I also receive stock gifts when my agents close their first deals, or when they close their first anniversary deal. And then, of course, with the Icon Award, I get that back.
You get your full, it's a $16,000 worth of stock. And then you also get free stock when you attract an agent, right? When an agent names you as their sponsor at EXP, you get free stock.
Correct.
Right.
Also, when she closes her first deal.
Yes, that's right.
And then also when she resets.
And when you cap, also
yeah, when you cap, when you stock.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stock floating into that account. And did you just wake up one day and look in there and go, "Oh my God, look at all this money I've got," or do you follow every share that goes in and out of there?
I follow it.
Oh, you do? Okay. Because I know some people
No,
literally. Yeah, who just
even,
one day they opened up their account and go, "Geez, I got $100,000 worth of stock in there."
Right, not even knowing it. Yeah,
not even knowing it. Yeah. Well, that's
yeah.
fantastic.
So that's how it was in the beginning.
Yes, and you've been with EXP for how long now?
5 years.
5 years. You joined just a little bit after I did. Yeah.
Man, that's got to feel sweet getting Icon 4 years in a row.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, because it takes a year, to get your sales. You probably, sometimes people come in for different reasons. They might have a, cap deferment if they were capped at
True.
other
Not knowing
brokerage or
that it
something.
affects the Icon status.
Sure. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But
Yeah. So but the agents that you coach, then generally you said their sales are about half of what you do, right? So your idea is to help them double their sales.
Right. And I do actually have coaching clients that sell more than I do.
Okay.
Wow.
Do you coach any teams at all?
I don't, not the teams, no.
Not teams. Okay. So
Not
so
yet.
if somebody, and how many agents do you coach that are outside of your market?
Right now, probably 4 or 5.
Okay.
And within my own market, it's different for different agents, but we have about 135 agents in this area with EXP.
Right. And I've seen you. I saw you at Shareholders. I've seen you at the Sprint. I've seen you in a lot of these events, Mikki. Why do you go to these events?
It re-energizes me. Being in real estate, you get into the same rut. So going to these big events and seeing the bigger picture, being able to pull your head out of the forest, so to speak, just gives you that energy. And it's Murphy's Law. If you want to get busy, go out of town.
Well, that's true too. Yeah.
Especially in real estate.
Yeah. What about collaboration? Have you met some pretty good agents when you've been at these events?
I have met some amazing agents. I have a referral network across the entire country, and I'm working on a referral network internationally. And I get to do that because of these events.
Right. Excellent. Wow. One thing I didn't ask that because you seem like you do so many things so well. Do you ever venture into commercial real estate at all?
I do actually do commercial real estate. I have a bank building listed right now, and I have a $1.8 million commercial land deal under contract right now.
Wow. I'm sure a lot of agents would love to know how they can diversify their business and get into commercial. Do you have a word that you could share with them? How did you do it?
I fell into it, to be honest. I was strictly residential and would have clients come to me and say, hey, I want to buy that building, or, we need to sell something. And I would refer it out, which that was good money as well. But I had one client in particular, and he's been a repeat client as well. And after selling several homes for him, he said, you're going to do this commercial deal. And I said, I don't know how. And he said, well, we're going to do it together.
Yeah. And here's an opportunity. I was talking with Mitch Ginsburg about this, president and founder of CEO of ComLoan, is that, how many self-employed buyers or sellers have you represented? I mean, most of those people, if they're self-employed, they own their own business. They might be dentists, doctors, you name it. But just think about how many of them would possibly have a need for commercial help, right? Whether, for whatever their business might be. Was that your case? The people that you've been working with, are they self-employed, as we would call them?
Every one of them, yes.
Every one of them.
Wow.
Boom. Yeah, either that or they're realtors, right? Realtors are self-employed. Right. Yeah. By the way, when you get your license, you won't be able to buy a house for a couple of years, just in case you were wondering.
Yeah, you have
right.
to have the
24 months, right. If you're self-employed, you got to have 24 months history, or they average it over 24 months, and then you couldn't buy a doghouse unless you've been in the business 23 months. Then you might be able to get halfway there, right?
Yeah. Or something.
Yeah.
And it's important to be strategic with that, because if you are self-employed for 24 months, but you tell Uncle Sam you only make $20,000 a year, you can't buy a house.
Isn't it funny how we always want to tell Uncle Sam how little we make, and then our lender, we want to tell him how much we make, right? Yeah. Mikki, do you like to read? Do you read much?
I love to read, yes.
You love to read. Tell us what's on your nightstand right now. What are you reading?
I thought you might ask that. So I've got a couple of them. This is a really easy read. It's from Peter Passetto, Active Choices. And Peter Passetto is also a coach, and he is also an EXP agent. And I love this book because it talks about making our active choices and priority management versus time management. But my very favorite, and I just had to buy another copy of it, is How to Win Friends and Influence People.
That's the classic.
Dale Carnegie
Yeah,
staple.
Just feels good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, that's fantastic. I knew you would have that one on on your list. Everybody should. And if you're watching the show and if you have not read How to Win Friends and Influence People, for goodness sakes, folks, go out there, order it. What is it, $12 on Amazon?
On Amazon,
Something
eBay,
like that.
get one used.
Yeah, I mean, send me an email. I'll
send
shoot
you
you
one.
a copy of it
Yes.
if you don't want to use Amazon. That's fine. So will Mikki, right? Mikki will send you a
That's
copy.
right.
Yeah, but no, that's fantastic. I think I mentioned to you at lunch that we would start and then we would look up and I would say a few words like, well, gee, C3, it looks like we're at the top of the hour here almost. It's just about time to wrap up. Is there anything, and gosh, I want to just really go back and acknowledge you and thank you and affirm what you're doing. And you know, I've prayed for you and just that God would put his hands on your ministry and that you would find success helping people who had been in your shoes. And, you know, we didn't really get a chance to get into how faith has, what that's meant to you and how that's sort of, been the glue to help keep things together. But I did want to ask if you had a final word that you might want to share with anybody in our audience who this is really hitting home with, and if they would like to reach out to you, maybe you can tell them how to contact you. But what can you offer somebody out there in the audience who's really struggling right now?
I would offer two things. Anybody that is in my previous situation in any form or fashion, to reach out to me as a friend for support. That's free, and you're worth it. You're not alone, and you can do it. Secondly, anybody that is looking to double their income or get some of their time back, feel free to reach out to me. My website is growwithmikki.com, and you can fill out a form there. There's some free resources, some tools on how to leverage your business right now. So feel free to go to that website too. But regardless of the situation, I'm here to help and I'm here to love on you.
Wow, that's it's people like you that make real estate a great place to be, and you pay it back. This is a great business to pay it back and pay it forward in as well, just like you're loving on your agents and helping them. I'll go back to that when I first got in the business. My mentor, told me that I'd be the most overworked, underpaid person I'd ever met when I got started, but after I'd been doing it a while, I'd be the most overpaid, underworked. And it's not just about the money, it's about the lives, changing lives, and helping other people. I think that you and I and many of us are committed to trying to make this a better world than when we got here. And thank goodness for real estate, because capitalism at the Wild West lives, fortunately. It's one of those few businesses where you can make 6-7 figures without having to invest that much into product. You don't have to make the product. You're using somebody else's asset. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful place. And like I said, especially with people like you, with where your heart is. And I just want to thank you for being who you are, and for being on our show today, Mikki. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Well, we'll see you guys next week. I'm going to be flying in hot from Vegas, I guess, right?
What are you doing this weekend? You got a little something. What are you doing?
Little anniversary thing.
Anniversary?
Yeah.
You guys going to go see somebody, or?
We're going to go see James Taylor. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, second time.
That's electric.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's going to be great at the Cosmo. He's doing a little house thing there.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. But I will be back in time.
Who's on next week?
Yes,
James Wong.
James Wong. And if you have
EXP,
not met James Wong, he's one of the most dynamic people. James is president of EXP Commercial. He's going to come here and lay it down. If you've ever had an interest in commercial real estate, you have got to tune in next week, because James will be here talking all about commercial and how you can get into it if you want to. And that'll be right here, same time, same channel on Cliff's Notes.
Let's go.
We'll give you the tips, tricks, and tactics to explode your business. I guarantee it.